Shams just dropped a bombshell report surrounding the Boston Celtics and their plans going forward, as not only did he reveal some crucial information surrounding Brad Stevens and his plans this offseason, but a very shocking trade report surrounding Jaylen Brown. I want to break down exactly what that is, discuss what this means going forward, as well as a few other things on this episode, folks. Before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys have been absolute beasts with the support, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys again for your continued support. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Jaylen Brown trade talks were hot for a little bit, then cooled off, and now we have another big report from Shams Charania revealing some interesting information surrounding where the Celtics currently stand surrounding a Jaylen Brown trade. Now, we all know the Celtics are in the market for keeping Jaylen Brown. That was at least the report up until Shams came out yesterday and revealed some new information surrounding the superstar. And you can see this here. Teams are sending the Celtics crazy offers for Jaylen Brown and Derrick White, but we'll leave the Jaylen Brown for now. For Jaylen Brown per Shams on the Pat McAfee show. However, Shams went on to say it would take an insurmountable package for Boston to even consider dealing Brown. Now, this is a very big report for a few different reasons, because regardless of what Shams has been saying here, even like prior to this report, there's been a lot of rumblings about Jaylen Brown being traded to teams like the Spurs. We heard, I don't know if you guys were paying attention to it, but there was a lot of different tweets. There was a lot of rumblings, a lot of rumors about Jaylen Brown and the Spurs. Some people going as far as even saying, random reporters and rumor mills saying that a deal was closing in between Brown and the Spurs. Obviously, that wasn't necessarily the case, but now Shams came out and said that there are teams sending crazy offers to the Celtics. Now, it seems at this point that the Celtics are preparing, according to Shams at least, for a very interesting season next year. A bit of a retool year, we would assume. We'll have a video coming out on that. But for Jaylen Brown, he obviously has been with the Celtics for his whole career. But for next season in particular, the only way that the Celtics, go forward here is they have to pick a direction. It's either going to be retooling and go with what you have, or, kind of going and trying to make another big splash. A guy like Kevin Durant, a guy, of course, like, whoever else is available. But the alternative here would be getting rid of Jaylen Brown. Now, of course, we know the only way that the Celtics are going to move off of JB is if, of course, a team gives them in what Shams quoted, insurmountable package to Boston to even consider dealing Brown. Now, that was similar to and lines up with the report that Shams came out with about a month or so ago, saying that any team that wants to trade for Jaylen Brown, he's not untouchable. Jaylen Brown's not untouchable. Same with Derrick White, but it would take an absolute mammoth of a package to get that done. And it seems like some teams are starting to send maybe not what they would consider a mammoth package, meaning enough to actually get it done, but a package that is, quote, crazy, according to Shams. So I would be assuming tons of picks, tons of different things. And it's something to keep an eye on, because at this point, if the if the Celtics eventually get an offer for Jaylen Brown that, is insurmountable, we could see a world where out of nowhere, just in a bit of a crazy, in a crazy facet, Jaylen Brown gets traded out of Boston. Now, it is not likely, again, it's still not likely at this point, but it's a very notable development in the situation. And there was a recent article posted today from Sports Illustrated with a trade proposal for Jaylen Brown. And you can see this here. Very similar to what I mentioned. Anyone thinking the Celtics would move off Jaylen for less than this is lying to themselves. Celtics are getting a haul for a 28-year-old top 15 to 20 player in his prime. Now, whether or not other teams rate him as a top 15, 20 player, still up in the air. It is what it is. But let's look at this specific package. And again, I've been talking about the Spurs because there has been a lot of rumblings, a lot of rumors. Nothing confirmed from reliable reporters, but rumors in general surrounding Jaylen Brown and the Spurs. Because, it makes sense, right? The Spurs, they have Wemby. They have some guys, Rookie of the Year, Stephon Castle, ready to, hopefully take the next step. But at the same time, they're still missing that one score. And they're looking for, they were very involved in Kevin Durant sweepstakes. It seems to have cooled down a little bit. They were very involved in the Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes, which have seemed to cool down a little bit. And they seem poised to make a big splash. And if they're going to do so, and Jaylen Brown becomes available, he seems to be, a perfect fit. He's a guy who can score very well, can complement what Victor Wembanyama does, of course, depending on who else they have after the trade with Jaylen Brown. But let's dive into the trade here. It's Jaylen Brown for Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, 2 first-round picks, one of them being top 2 protected, one of them being the number 2 pick in the 2025 draft. Now, this is a lot to give up, right? If you're the San Antonio Spurs, like an absurd amount. Not only are you giving up, Devin Vassell, of course, a decent player, but he's salary cap filler. Not only are you giving up Stephon Castle, you're also giving up the number 2 pick. And I'm not even sure from the Spurs fans' perspective, and let me know down below. Like, obviously, if you're the Celtics, you have to seriously consider this, because you can get Dylan Harper with a number 2 pick. You can trade it back and get multiple picks. You could package it to get another superstar to pair with Jayson Tatum. Like, there's a million avenues here. But not only are you getting Stephon Castle, again, you're getting some draft capital. You're getting 2 first-round picks and Stephon Castle. But it's not only just a first-round pick, it's the number 2 pick, which is extremely valuable. But again, This is the type of trade that would make the Celtics at least convinced to start entertaining offers. And again, it lines up perfectly with what specifically Shams has been saying about crazy offers. Now, am I saying that, the Spurs are getting offered Jaylen Brown for this package? I'm sure the Celtics will consider a package like this. But I mean, there's a world where Brad Stevens even declines a trade like this because he believes that the best player in this deal is Jaylen Brown. And then the Celtics are still trying to win a championship. And then beyond this year, of course, there's always that conversation. However, with Jaylen Brown being traded, you're still moving off of the salary, what would help them put them under the luxury tax there. So there's a million ways to go about it. And again, he's a 28-year-old in his prime. In theory, he had a much better year 2 years ago, but of course won the championship last season as an All-Star. He's last season 22. I guess the year before last season they won the championship, but last season, this most current season, he averaged 22 points a game, shooting pretty efficiently from the field, 32% from three, which was his career low actually, which a little bit unfortunate. And he took a step back to a degree, but I think if you watched him play, just the way he played, I think it was still fine. Not quite as good as we saw the past couple of years, especially in the championship season. But at the same time, team players are going to have slight regressions. But it's a very interesting trade proposal. Let me know right down below in the comment section. Would you do a deal like this? Because again, this is the biggest package we've seen proposed. And again, it's just a rumor at this point. I'm not saying the Spurs are offering this, but when Shams comes out and says that there's a crazy package is being offered, obviously it makes some sense here for like this would be a crazy package. Rookie of the year, number 2 pick, and another 2026 first round pick, which I don't think would be too crazy because the Spurs should be pretty good next season. It is top 10 protected. I don't think that protection would convey. I think ultimately it'd be a 15 to 20. So it's really, a 15 to 20th pick plus the number 2 pick plus Stephon Castle. I think this is what it would take in general. And if you're the Spurs, if this is what it takes to get Jaylen Brown and you think he's the guy who can push you to a championship, then maybe they would go for that. But there was also an article dropped by Bobby Marks here talking about the pecking order of trade values based on the Boston Celtics and who they have right now. And he ranks White 1, Brown 2, Hauser 3, Holiday 4, Kristaps 5. We'll have a video coming on this soon as well. But this has Derrick White ranked number 1. And the simple reason is that, A, you can plug and play him into any team with his contract, right? Like his contract's not too crazy, but also he's the easiest player that, he's a role player. Jaylen Brown, if you throw him on, for example, the Orlando Magic, who just made a trade for Desmond Bane, who you can kind of equate to Derrick White in some ways, then, Jaylen Brown wouldn't fit alongside Paolo Banchero very well. But Desmond Bane, a guy who's a 3-and-D guy, he fits around everybody. And that's kind of the same thing here for Derrick White. Of course, you have Sam Hauser, Jrue Holiday, Kristaps Porziņģis. Porziņģis is like on a 1-year expiring deal. I think they can get traded for him, but he's not going to get a ton of value. White possesses the most value. Brown possesses the second most value. And the reason this is interesting is because, if you're getting these type of offers for Jaylen Brown, and I'm not saying this is the type of offer, but let's say a similar offer, and then Desmond Bane's getting you 4 picks in a swap, unprotected, by the way, like you have to start considering trading some of these guys. And I'm curious to see what you guys think about all this. Things are picking up. Things are getting crazy. And at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see if they make a big deal for them because according to Shams, deals are coming. Things are going to pick up very, very fast. You guys are the best. Thank you guys for watching. Peace. Cheers.